Record. Good morning.
Good morning,
James.
Hey,
I wasn't
good
sure if I had
morning.
the right day.
Good morning, Will.
Hey, good morning. Can you hear me?
You do have the right day. We are here today to talk about WebAssembly. Yes. So let's see. We'll give a little bit for folks to show up. But we do have one agenda item. If there are other agenda items that folks would like to add, please do. I'll drop in chat here, link to the doc. Says we were supposed to be joined today by Sean and Mendy. So hopefully they are around. Perhaps we've run into some scheduling issues with Sean and Mendy. I think we have some scheduling issues today, folks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick off the meeting. If you have agenda items, please add them to the agenda. If Sean and Mendy are able to make it, hopefully they'll make it in the next few minutes. Else, we can do PSAs and agenda items. And if anybody has anything they want to chat about, we can do that. So for the short of it, hello. My name is David Justice. I am going to be leading the meeting today. You are in tag runtime Wasm Working Group, and we abide by the CNCF Code of Conduct, which generally means be nice to each other. If you have a question or would like to add to the conversation, please raise your hand and you will be recognized in the order that the hands are raised as best we can. Without further ado, let's kick off this instance of the Wasm Working Group for February 18th, 2025. Thank you all for joining us. If you would, if you want to put in your name for attendance, please do. I will kick that off. And to get started, we do have one agenda item, which was a WASI Web GPU GFX demo and update, which were to be hosted by Mendy and Sean. Unfortunately, they are not here right now, so I think we may have to reschedule that, and I'll reach out to Mendy and Sean and find out when the next appropriate time is. Anyone in the audience have any agenda items they would like to add or anything they would like to discuss?
I don't have anything today. I think we
Okay.
have a few new folks though.
Yeah. If anybody wants to say hi, they're welcome to. Leon or Luca, you're welcome to say hello if you'd like to.
Hello. I just have all the CNCF meetings in my calendar, and there are a few areas that I'm interested in. For example, WebAssembly. So I thought I'll drop by and listen and see if there's anything I can learn. But I don't have anything I can contribute to the agenda at this time. Maybe one day, who knows?
Well, Luca, thank you so much for joining us. Sorry it's such a stinker of a meeting, but I promise next time we'll have more content for you. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. I think that there are some scheduling issues maybe across all meetings, because I was trying to join one for the network working group, I think, but that one never started. So I'm not sure if maybe people are having a week off or something. Could be.
Perhaps so. Yeah, just in the US, we just had a holiday, so maybe folks are just still
It's fake.
out.
It's a school week, a school off week for a lot of folks in the US. So
Joe, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, I do have a question. If we don't have much agenda items, can I ask it here right now? I saw like gems here, so I have a question about the OCI artifact format. Specifically, I want to ask about if there is say like a single layer of component in the Wasm OCI artifact, and if that component has well, my question is, how will the runtime configuration file be supported in that case?
what runtime configuration file?
Like,
I
for
think
example,
every runtime is going to have a different
yeah,
runtime
I guess that's
configuration
what I'm
file.
asking. Like, WASI, like, hey, I wanna have a file for WASI configuration. For example, Wasm time is going to have a configuration file, a TOML format to configure Wasm time specific behaviors. And Spin has their own file, right? So I guess I'm trying to understand where to supply this file in the OCI artifact.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that actually lives in the OCI artifact, at least the way that we specified it. you would supply that like in a Kubernetes environment, you would want to supply that via like a volume mount or something like that, or you can, or like if you're not in a Kubernetes environment, then you just, however you're pulling that image and setting up the runtime, you'd provide that at the time that you're setting up the runtime. The other thing that we did discuss was if you did want to ship that alongside your artifact, then you could use like some virtualization to wrap that in WASI-virt, and then you could load that through the file system in that component. So you just kind of bundle it into the component alongside of it as well. That was another thing that we discussed.
Cool, thanks. And in additional to runtime configurations, if a component in a OCI artifact that imports, say, WASI HTTP outgoing handler, and exports a run function in the CLI command world, does the OCI artifact tell the runtime that this component wants this capability of being able to, do HTTP requests?
Yeah, so that information is encoded in the component itself, or through via its like imports and exports. We also extract that out into the metadata of the OCI component. So if you wanted to do some sort of validation prior to actually handing it off to the runtime, then you could use that as kind of the information prior to that. So in the config of the OCI artifact, we are extracting that and putting it into an imports and exports. And I think there's an additional field called like world or something. I forget the exact name, that would have that information in it. So when you pulled it, you could then verify that, your runtime supports that particular import or export or whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Got it. Oh, it's
Yeah,
called
and
target instead of world.
yeah, sorry, yeah, that's what it was. And then so the idea there, and I don't know that I don't think anybody's working on it, but was that in a container D world, you could potentially use that metadata in the config when it's pulled to select the proper runtime. Say you have Wasm-wg and Wasm time. You could, and one of them exported HTTP. You could potentially look that information up and select the proper runtime based off that information, and send the workload to the right place. And there's some I guess desire to do that in containerd more holistically, not just for Wasm, but and so I think that's why that kind of stalled out, but that is some work that could be done.
I wonder how will that be done holistically, because the target field is inside of a component field, I think, and component field is very specific to Wasm. Is that right?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's some of the design work that needs to happen, but essentially probably through like a plugin system, I would assume would be like you could plug in some sort of discovery system into the polling mechanism. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thanks. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a containerd issue for that for like a generic way of doing that. Not at the keyboard right now, but I could maybe find it later if you ping me and
Okay.
ask me about it.
I will DM you later.
Please consider also adding it to the notes if you have a chance. If not, totally understand.
Cool.
Awesome. Anything else on that topic? Anything else anybody else would like to cover?
I do have a PSA. It's a shameless plugin for runwasi. So runwasi is a containerd subproject, and it is a shim library that you can use to build containerd shims to run Wasm workloads. And the PSA is about recent optimization updates. We compared the Wasm time shim that is built upon runwasi to a distroless Wasm time container. So basically you have a container that has, a Wasm time layer, and on top of that you have the workloads. It's a normal container versus the runwasi Wasm time shim. And we found out that the Wasm time shim is able to execute around 330 tasks per second, or 330 workloads per second, compared to around 80 tasks per second from the Wasm time distroless container. So that's over 3 times more throughput than an already optimized container, not even to mention a Ubuntu-based containers. And size-wise, runwasi image can be as small as 2.2 kilobytes compared to 9.9 megabytes of distroless Wasm containers. So this is a huge improvement, and I'm really, really excited to share that. So check it out if you're interested.
Also, if you have a link to any additional data, please consider adding that to the meeting notes. I'm sure folks would be interested in checking that out, perhaps post-meeting.
Yeah, I do have a tweet, so I can share it here. James, do you have a question?
Yeah, would you just clarify what you mean by a distroless Wasm time image? And like the difference between that and the image the OCI image that you mentioned?
Oh yeah, the workloads is the same. It's a Wasm module. The only difference is the Wasm time shim embeds a Wasm time in its binary, versus a distroless Wasm time container that has Wasm time inside of a normal, Linux container, and we run that container in runc.
Cool. So the Wasm time distroless actually has Wasm time in every single container image. This kind of
Yep. But the idea is that because the single layer of Wasm time is shared among all the containers, so it's actually being cached. Yeah. So in this scenario, runwasi really beats that distroless Wasm time container.
That's very cool. I have linked in that status update. Thank you, Joe. And it's really great to see progression in having artifacts that are actually describing the difference between the performance attributes of these different ways of running WebAssembly. I think that'll be really helpful for the community to see the differences and be able to weigh them. Awesome. Thank you for the PSA. James, Joe, anybody? Additional items? All right. then I'm going to take the action item of rescheduling the WASI Web GPU GFX demos. So hopefully we'll have those on the subsequent meeting. Subsequent meeting will be March 4th, 2025. Currently scheduled for that meeting is an update from Tomasz talking about Starling Monkey JS TS Wasm ecosystem. And then Yash Woods giving an update on WASI Preview 3 and the current state of WASI. So those are going to be two great speakers talking about two areas that I think a lot of folks are going to be excited about. And as we're coming up to hopefully a successful launch of Preview 3, we want to start getting ahead of that and understanding what that means for the ecosystem as well as us as contributors. So looking forward to it. Any other action items that we should consider leading into that next meeting? All right. Well, it's a quiet day, everybody, and we're going to donate back about 37 minutes of your time. So with this, I move to close the meeting. Anybody second? All right, I got a couple thumbs up, so I got a second. The movement passes, and I appreciate everybody's time here today. If you have any questions, please reach out to the Wasm Working Group or to me individually, either on Slack or any other of the socials that you hunt me down on. Again, thank you so much for coming. Today is our instance of the Wasm Working Group under Tag Runtime in the CNCF. We really appreciate you all and keep doing that great work for the community. All right, let's go execute.
Bye.
Later, y'all.